Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I'm a PhD candidate at McMaster University in the School of Rehabilitation Science. Today I'm here on behalf of the Collaborative for Health and Aging to talk to you about radical relationality in action, creating resources for clear communication that strengthen community connection and partnerships in aging research. A huge thank you to the co-authors of this project from the collaborative. This is a photo from one of our events and includes many, but unfortunately not all of the co-authors for this project. So the McMaster Collaborative for Health and Aging is a part of the Ontario SPORE Support Unit Network, and we are a coalition of researchers, trainees, older adults, and caregivers who work together to improve the health and well-being of older Canadians by advancing patient-oriented research on health and aging. The main goals of the collaborative are to firstly provide consultation and supports through facilitating partnerships and knowledge translation across experiences and disciplines, to ultimately then provide training as well as mentorship. And from this work, the collaborative members found that some additional training and resources would be helpful to researchers and trainees in a couple of key areas with respect to communicating with older adult research partners. So, today I'll be telling you about two resources created by the collaborative this year to address these gaps. The first is Closing the Loop, which focuses on building and maintaining partnerships through ongoing communication before, during, and after the research process. The second is Sharing Information with Older Adults, which focuses on translating research and scientific language to make it accessible and clear for an older adult audience. With both resources offering guidance for fostering trust through transparent and sustained communication. So, these ideas of clear communication, transparency, and closing the loop are areas that have been identified as crucial by various organizations and researchers. These ideas aren't new. Our goal was really to create tangible resources to build capacity when collaborating with older adult partners as researchers. And both resources were truly a collaborative effort. We had a trainee and older adult partner collaborate as co leads to come up with structure and core components. Then these ideas were shared with the wider collaborative community, and then this iterative process was repeated. Importantly, the groups that created the resources are also the intended audience for these resources. We hope that these tools can be used by trainees, but also by seasoned researchers and community members to advocate for best practices in engagement research. So, the first resource we'll dig into is Closing the Loop, or Strengthening Your Research Partnerships Through Communication. You can scan the QR code to access the resource. And it provides strategies for researchers to follow up, share our findings, and involve partners at every stage. The authors opted to use knitting imagery for this resource, with the idea being that each stitch or individual is important to the structure and success of a project, with the flip side being that a dropped stitch, such as a missed connection or a delayed follow up, could mean a partner or collaborator withdrawing from a project. So, the six McMaster principles of community engagement are really central to everything we do in the collaborative, and this is why we chose them to then structure the Closing the Loop resource. So, the main components are firstly, respectful relationship, secondly, reciprocity, which we'll explore a bit more in a moment, thirdly, equity, fourth is continuity, fifth is openness to learning, and finally, commitment to act. If you're interested in learning more about these principles, you can visit the McMaster website. There's a really wonderful resource available. So I want to share an example of what a section from within the resource looks like. And I've selected today to look at section 2 on reciprocity. So each section includes a brief description of the principle. So for example, reciprocity is more than saying thank you, it means creating value for everyone involved. And this is then followed by some tangible strategies. So, for example, asking partners what motivates their involvement and how they wish to contribute, providing regular progress updates, and creating opportunities for shared leadership and co-authorship throughout the project. Each section also includes quotes from older adult partners and trainees from the collaborative. We feel that including these perspectives ties in the relevancy, the importance, and the utility of each section. So, for example, here, when thinking about reciprocity, the partners remind us that it's important to ask, what does this partnership mean to you? And that we can't assume to know what partners will want out of the experience because benefit looks different to everyone. So that just gives you a small glimpse of how a typical section within the Closing the Loop resource is constructed. Next, we'll talk a little bit about the Sharing Information with Older Adults resource. And this guide was designed for writing and presenting in clear language when collaborating with older adult partners. And again, you can scan this QR code to access the resource now. This resource opens with a quote from the older adult co-lead of this resource, Tina. And I thought I'd share some of Tina's words that capture the essence of why this resource is important. As an older adult partner with the collaborative, I think it's important for researchers to be great scientists as well as people who connect and communicate effectively with others. This resource has 6 key strategies which are meant to be revisited and explored throughout the writing and preparation process. So these 6 strategies are collaborate, consider your tone, define key terms, simplify structure, format for clarity, and finally, review. So each section begins with a brief introduction, followed by tangible strategies to use when preparing written documents and presentations. So here I'll highlight one of the sections, which is define key terms. So for example, in this section, we highlight the idea that the meaning of terms can change depending on someone's previous experiences. So it's essential to provide operational definitions and spelling out of acronyms to avoid alienating your audience. Each section also includes a quote from an older adult partner or trainee. So here Kim, an older adult partner, shares, with a jumble of acronyms and jargon, I get confused. I have no idea what they mean, and I feel like quitting the team. Again, this reinforces how important it is to use plain language and clear communication to really strengthen and build relationships with our older adult partners. So, in conclusion, communication is really central to radical relationality. It's essential for building a bridge between researchers and community members. And both tools that I've shared with you today, closing the loop and sharing information with older adults, position communication not as a final step, but as a continuous process of connection that translates the principles of community engagement into tangible strategies for researchers and trainees who collaborate with older adults. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you again to my co-authors as well as to our funding partners. I'd encourage you to visit our website, so collaborative-aging.mcmaster.ca. You can also scan the QR code to get to the website. You can find links to these resources as well as other resources from the collaborative. And I also want to highlight the second link here. Also, you can find through this QR code, which is the Partnership in Research Fellowship. So this is funding and additional training for trainees who are interested in engagement research. It's a wonderful opportunity. I really encourage that you share it with any trainees that you know who might be a good fit. And please follow us on social media, reach out with any questions, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.